What's going on? I'm going to be going over 5 new NES games playable on retro emulation handhelds like the RG351. If you enjoy new retro games, I have a whole playlist of games I've gone over if you want to check that out. Consider subscribing as I try to do these once a month and less than 10% of my viewers are subscribed. But for now, let's check out the games. First up is Doodle World. Play as Doodle and travel the world fighting to defeat the evil King Eraser and his minions, as they stole the magical crayon used to create the world. There are 5 worlds to explore with 15 platforming levels and 5 boss battles against erasers and office supplies. This one was released this year and has a really unique art style that makes it look like it's hand-drawn. It has 2 modes of play, the normal mode, and it has a kids mode that makes the game easier and gives you more lives. It plays similar to something like Super Mario Bros. And feels like a solid platformer. The bosses are pretty cool looking, and each world has a unique and fun design to it. Seems like it's pretty short compared to some of the other games, as this one is $10, but it's a fun one if you're looking for a new platformer to check out. Next up is Nyx, the Paradox Relic. It is a side-scrolling Metrovania shooter where you play as the bounty hunter Nyx. You are tasked with infiltrating a space pirate facility to capture them and discover the secrets of the Paradox Relic. This game has 7 bosses to take on while you explore the abandoned research facility to piece together what happened there. Each boss so far has been unique and fun to fight against. While not being too generic or too easy, I still have a few more to face. As for the enemies, they have varied from planet wildlife such as bats, slimes, and spiders, to mechanical beings that will crawl to run at you. There are even floating Metroid-like creatures. From what I've seen, the enemies so far are pretty varied and make for enjoyable fighting. You have an array of unlockable abilities to allow you to access new areas and increase your combat skills. The first ability you start off with is a dodge, which just kinda acts as a back roll. Then you'll eventually unlock others such as a higher jump and a slide. This one is sort of like Star Fox Adventures meets Metroid on the NES. It came out in mid-2020 and has a free demo to play. You can beat it in about 2.5 hours, and the full game costs $10. It's one to check out for anyone into old school Metroid. Now is Space Raft. In this one, you control the band Space Raft. You are after your jealous ex-bass player who stole the master tapes of your newest album. You have to chase them down and recover the tapes and release your album. There are 6 obstacle-based scrolling levels, 15 arcade-style location stages, 2 huge dungeons, 4 playable characters, and boss fights. The soundtrack features chiptune songs from Positively Space Raft. The game overall gives me a Scott Pilgrim vs. the World vibe, while the van levels specifically feel like a side-scrolling shooter, such as Gradius mixed with a driving game. The other levels feel like they combine Pac-Man with River City Ransom, and it works surprisingly well. This one is also $10. It did have a little slowdown on some of the scrolling stages, but it was only for a second, and then it was fine again. This one was released late last year and is for fans of action-adventure games with some good music. This is the Legends of Owlia, where you play as Adlaniel and her owl friend Taito to free the great sage owls after they are sapped of their powers by the king of the mermen, Mermon, who grew jealous of the sunlight, sky, and green forests of Owlia. You now have to free the sages and defeat Mermon to return peace to Owlia. This is an action-adventure game inspired by others like The Legend of Zelda. It has 12 enemy types and 5 bosses to battle. 7 full scrolling overworld maps with 5 screen-by-screen dungeons filled with puzzles to solve. Fight enemies with your sword and using 8 techniques your owl can learn. You start off with 3, your owl can attack enemies, can grab items, and unlock doors. This cool Zelda-like game looks like it was released in 2015 or 2016. It's one for fans of action-adventure games with puzzles to solve and bad guys to beat. It should take around 5 or 6 hours to beat, and it's free from the developer's website, so check it out. Last up is Blade Buster, not to be confused with Buster Blader. This one is a vertical shoot 'em up that was originally developed in 2002 and it was released in 2010 or 2011. It's a score attack shoot 'em up that has 2 game modes, 2 and 5 minutes, each ending with a boss battle. For an NES game, it's impressive how many sprites can be on the screen at once with no problems. The graphics are very good and colorful too. It makes it so that it's pretty easy to see what's happening on the screen. The only real problem I had with it is it does have some slowdown when fighting the boss, and that takes a little bit to get used to. This one has a ton of replayability, chasing that high score and trying to do better and better, all while discovering the weapon power-ups and hidden bonuses. It's fun for anyone looking for a well-made shoot 'em up. That was some new NES games that I've played recently. Let me know which one you plan to try out and which one was your favorite in the comments. I'm not really sure which one's my favorite yet, as I still need to finish most of them, but it seems like they're all worth it to check out. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to toss a like and subscribe for more tech and gaming content. Thanks for watching. Was that a mistake? Yes, it was. Is this a mistake? That was sick.